1942.
Did you know the name Tito by then?
No. We didn't know Tito. We knew Kardel, we knew Kidric, we knew those Slovenian leaders. Yeah. No, Marshal Tito didn't come in on scene yet. And then 1942, in approximately beginning of June, we hear about them. They already appeared, a few here, a few there, but we didn't actually be in contact myself with them. And then, as I said before, in June, all of a sudden word come that all the men between 18 and 45 have to report in the house, in one house in our village. And then we went in there, and was a couple of them, partisans, and one was commissar, but it wasn't Kardel, it was a little bit lower rank. And he said, we want you all tomorrow morning in the forest. All of you, so and so. And then, what shall we do then? We don't really want to join them, but then again, if we don't, they start killing us. So we all reported in the forest next morning, approximately 1 mile from my home, up in the hill. And then they didn't have any guns or anything to give us, but they said that we would have to go and break the railway, in that area, Ribnica and Dobropolia. And we were there for about 1 or 2 days, and they let us go. They let us go. If we want to stay with them, volunteer, and then all the rest, I should say it was about 300 of us. And they let us go. And then, approximately months after that, Mussolini make invasion there, like offensive, the battle in that area, right?
Would that have been because of the partisans?
Oh yes. He said he's going to clear it all out, right? In July it started, and in August. And then Mussolini came there with the army, and then exactly the same thing happened. He took us, all the men between 18 or something there, and put us on one place there, which was bombed. He bombed the village, Mussolini did, during that time, during the beginning of June and end of July. And all the men were there for about 2 or 3 days in that area. And then all of a sudden they pick up the names, and then, and then they took us up to Dobropolia in a couple of days after. And they called the names again there, and they part the 22 away, my friends, most of them, really, and then the rest of us, they let go home, and they killed those 22. My cousin was amongst them. And then they brought the army down, and the army settled in Struge then. We were there. And the things were pretty quiet for a little while, because the communists, in a way, they've been driven away. They were driven a bit further, partisans. And
how much support do you think there was for the partisans? Before this Italian action?
I would say 5%.
And 10%. Did it increase after the Italians behaved,
Very little. Very little. The poorest area of Slovenia is supposed to be just that Suha Krajina and that Bela Krajina and that area down there. And the poorer the people, more anti-communist they were. The poorer, the more anti-communist. I hear it very often. They said the poverty brings the communism. It's entirely opposite. Because they knew they were poor, and then if the communists come, they will be poorer. And that's exactly what happened. Even to this day, because in that area was so anti-communist, they still haven't got the tarmac road. Yugoslav communists now, they said, will punish them for that. Even to this day, in my village, it is through the village, but outside, 2 miles out of my village, is still ordinary road. And it so happened that that was 1942, 43. I was home. But between 1942 May 1942 and end of July 42, Italians couldn't reach the area where we were living, were partisan in control in a way. You know, how can I mean? They didn't come to as near as that. And was that commissar, the one who came the very first night, and he said that we have to go all into the forest, come to my house quite a few times and ask my father, but the son joined their ranks. You know? And I didn't want to go. My father didn't want to let him know. He said, he can't go. He have to work on the farm. We got children here. Look, he's the oldest. We just have to, somebody have to work. I can't let him go. We will be all hungry and things like that. And they didn't force me really. It was no pressure, direct pressure on us as far as that was concerned. And so I stayed home until the 7th of September 1943, until Mussolini capitulated. And then it was in a way like end of an era. So what are we going to do now? And then I remember standing in the evening it was, and then I remember, what shall I do? Where shall I go? If I go to that part, I'll be killed. If I run away, where shall I run away? I may be killed as well. And I was thinking to myself, what have I done that I have to be killed? What for? I haven't done nothing. And then it so happened that 700 of us gathered in Turjaški Grad. It was a kind of a castle. And 700 gathered there. And then that was 15 miles south of Ljubljana. But it's been written a lot about that part, really. You probably heard it before. And we were in there for about 3 weeks. And then...
What were you were captured and put in there, were you?
No. We just went in there somehow that somebody will come and save us. We were hoping that the English will come and save us because we didn't want to join partisans. And then eventually partisans start attacking us, and then they took us. And because I wasn't there in the nowhere before really, so they sent us down to Kočevje. Most of us, they killed a few, but they sent the rest of us down to Kočevje, and we were in there in the camp, and then we were digging the potatoes, which was still left on the fields, and there was no people in that area because Hitler how can I explain? Hitler gave them resettlement somewhere else. Not Hitler, Mussolini and Hitler arranged, and because they were of German origin in Kočevje and that area, it was 17,000, and then we were digging the potatoes for them.
For the partisans?
Yeah, for everybody really, because it was there, and then you know. So we gone through quite well really for those couple of months, and then all of a sudden Germans army came down, and then they occupied that area, Kočevje, and they took us on the trucks and took us to Ljubljana, all of us. They didn't ask us, and then in the meantime, domobranci had been formed, and Rupnik, because the Natlačen was killed, Rupnik took over, and domobranci had been formed. But I didn't, and then when they took us to Ljubljana, they just let us go. And I went to college. I thought to myself, maybe I had a feeling that I was lacking a little bit there. And I went in the commercial college. That was November 1943. And I stayed there till March 1944.